r/ForeverAlone. Chinese Meat Cleaver says, has a therapist actually helped any of you? I'm strongly against seeing a therapist, not only because they're expensive and gaslight you, but because I simply don't think they could ever relate, unless you get the 1/10,000,000 chance of getting one who is a late bloomer virgin or forever alone. And if someone can't relate, their advice is typically dogshit. I mean, we see that here all the time. What advice could a therapist possibly give besides the same old crap I've heard before, like you just gotta have confidence? I suppose it would be nice to have someone to trauma dump on, but this sub has been just as helpful with having open ears and an open mind, and you can relate to my experiences. Edit, and this is free. Far_albatross_far says, imagine paying to be told, just be yourself, bro. Snook 2001 says, yay, that's the problem. Exciting Dust 3359 says, therapists just try to gaslight you into not feeling less lonely. I often felt worse after talking to them. The big thing is, they can't relate to or understand my problems. They literally think it's just as simple as getting on a dating app. It's that easy for them, apparently. Like an attractive woman would understand loneliness, lol. Razel says, I've seen therapists, psychologists and psychiatrists to figure out solutions in my life. At least the latter two seem to objectively search for problems and look into possible solutions. Medication, etc. Of note, therapists aren't even allowed to prescribe medication. The therapists would all talk about self-improvement and introspection. More than one would suggest I'm actually at fault for my own misery and the only proper way out would be to forgive myself. One final one dismissed me because I didn't cooperate. These weren't cheap sessions either. They go for hundreds an hour. Only to tell someone to look inward? Love yourself. Telling me I need to forgive myself for my suicidal childhood. It's a joke. Therapy to me is a massive scam. Astrocyte 373 says, I saw 3 CBT therapists. When I told them I was unhappy because of loneliness, they didn't know what to say. Except you'll find someone eventually, and I need to love myself. As if that would cure my loneliness. There isn't a CBT program for loneliness in the health service, so I don't think they know how to approach it. They didn't seem skilled enough to apply CBT to a novel situation. Surely loneliness is more common now. I got the impression that the universities are churning out these therapists who don't actually know how to apply the principles effectively and end up giving life advice, victim blaming, cliches, encouraging delusional hope, etc. Which aren't what CBT is about. FML2 Worthless says, I reached out to a group practice of therapist once where a friend of mine also went. I filled in the intake sheet and sent it to them. Half a year later, still no reply, so I mail them explaining it. They say, oh, sometimes the site jams, and ask to just write my situation and reply to the mail. And so I did. This is now 2 years ago and still nothing. Guess I got ghosted by the therapist. Does that get me a prize or something? Icewing Angel says, yes, I tell my therapist all the time I'm just here, so I don't KMS. They still try to push me in the typical motivational way, but as someone that doesn't talk about my issues outside of therapy, it's nice just to have the outlet. r/ForeverAlone. The Lost Gareno Eyes Soul says, we are the socially impoverished. Some of us have no girlfriends, some of us no friends, and for the poorest of us no family, but we have ourselves and each other. Let's rally behind the fact we are still fighting, we are still breathing, and there is still hope left, hope in ourselves. Background Economy 85 says, a positive thing on this sun always gets me going. r/ForeverAlone. Jared11 says, new bucket list item, Tinder date to Hooters. Oh, we all know that dating apps are designed to make us feel lonelier to keep us paying. So why not use one for something stupid? I don't want a relationship right now, so I'm thinking of spending a weekend doing something stupid. I'll get a new account, and while it has the newbie boost I'll say it clear as day what my intentions are. I want to take a date to Hooters, to cross off an item in my bucket list. If it works I'll eat mediocre food with a complete stranger in a noisy restaurant and we'll both leave, to never talk to each other again. If it doesn't work, at least I'll have learned how bad dating sites can be. Any advice or ideas before I start in January? Lockwa_d_maud says. And you'd pay for it? I mean, if you're willing to throw money just for the sake for going to Hooters, go ahead. Unless you want to split the bill. Forsaken Problem 6758 says. Why not just go now by yourself? r/ForeverAlone. Consequence Big 9616 says. Honestly we are the lucky ones. So many rapists in the world. They often just get into your circle. I understood and witnessed it in August of 2021. So it's better to never talk to anyone. Being forever alone isn't all that bad. We are at least safe from those kinds of people. Is there any worth says. The problem is, a person can never have any good experiences with a thought like this. If I never get in a car I can never be in a car crash. If I never start a business then it can never fail leaving me in debt. If I never leave my house then I can never get mugged and end up with my stuff stolen and trauma. Much of the good experiences we have do risk something. Sure, you can never put yourself in any danger ever, but are you really living then or just surviving? Forsaken Problem 6758 says. This is a damaging train of thought, although I understand where you're coming from. I have co-workers who get catcalled and harassed all day long by patients, doctors, EMTs, etc. That's got to be incredibly demoralizing, and I'm glad I don't have to experience that. Pralaby says. I mean like that pretty low bar. r/ForeverAlone. Vape2 says. I have no idea how a woman feels like lol. I have no idea what the touch of a woman is like. I think the last time I got a hug from a girl was about 10 years ago in high school when I was about to graduate, and that was because I asked her lol. I remember a few weeks ago when this woman gave me a fist bump, and that made my day. I was legit so happy that I got to touch a woman's hand even for a brief second. Holy friggle mayo. Eat grits and pie says. I was in the first grade the last time I got a proper hug from a girl, about 25 years ago. The Watch 3RZ says. I normally don't like that kissing cheeks greet, so since COVID 2020, I feel relief giving woman a fist bump, and in workplace, that is now the official way to say hi in the mornings and goodbye at the end of the day. An auditor Sasta says. Last time I got a hug from a girl was on the last day of middle school when this one girl went around and gave a hug to everyone in class. This was just about 10 years ago. I assume she thought it would have been a bit too obvious if she left just one guy out, so I got one too. I say this because about a year prior she had called me such a weirdo in a definitely not good way lol. Ciuxlinus_ACC says. She's less hairy. Didn't notice any difference from how a woman and a man feels. Maybe just the size difference. Consequence Big 9616 says. It's like a man's skin but softer. Hull Chubb says. People get hugs. Pralaby says. I've never even touched a girl's hand other than family. r/ForeverAlone. Hot Stranger 24 says. The holidays are just pure humiliation. I'm being invited to all these holiday events with family, and the problem is that I have 4 younger siblings, and they are all either married or in a long-term relationship with someone. I'm always the only person to show up alone, and now that I have reached the age of 30, they have pretty much stopped asking when I'm going to find someone. It's just so humiliating. I don't even want to show up in any of these events in the first place. Just a constant reminder of how defective I am. Consequence Big 9616 says, honestly Grinch did nothing wrong. Keitra says, that sucks. It sucks when family members keep asking, and I imagine it also sucks when they eventually stop asking too. I'm not looking forward to being asked about my relationship status. Vape2 says, just don't go. Iacobus_mathematicus says, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that family has never asked me if I've found anyone. Resident_setting 3884 says, I feel your pain 100% as a 40 years old far. The only reason I go to the family Christmas party is my auntie gives me $100 and my cousin is a good cook, though I know my blood will soon boil when my cousin's 13 years old kids show up with their BFs and GFs and probably start asking me why I don't have a GF. That's when I go to the bar and pour myself a double shot of Jack a few times. Metal Panda Dance says, any little kids coming? They are always the most fun on Christmas. Play with them and keep them company. You won't have to hear any repetitive questions from family. Accurate_pop_8970 says, I don't go, my family knows not to ask. That's all for this video. Was it good? I know not, for I'm a robot. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. This video is the product of an automated process.